Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. 95 years ago, on 12th of March 1930, Mahatma Gandhi, the father of our nation, launched the civil disobedience movement by marching to Dandi and breaking the salt law. Why? Because the colonial masters of India were denying Indians a basic necessity, salt. Salt, which was freely found on our Indian shores, but the oppressive British rule wanted us to pay a tax on it. This pinch of salt was an assertion of India's satyagraha, a mass uprising to break the shackles of colonialism and attain Purna Swaraj. Today, ironically, there's another prediction of a civil disobedience movement. 95 years later, a Congress member of Parliament, Renuka Chowdhury, has declared that India is headed for another civil disobedience movement. Let's give you a context. Renuka Chowdhury was speaking to Rajya Sabha Member of Parliament Kapil Sibal on his podcast. He asked her if discussions won't take place in Parliament or media, what is the other avenue or platform? To this, Renuka Chowdhury responded saying that people will hit the streets in civil disobedience. Later, she went on to justify her remarks, even drawing a parallel with Mahatma Gandhi. She warned that if the Sarkar goes rogue, it's the opposition's responsibility to keep it in check. But can a parallel even be drawn between Mahatma Gandhi's civil disobedience movement and the call given by Renuka Chowdhury? In 1930, Indians were fighting an oppressive colonial ruler. In 2024, India conducted the world's largest democratic exercise. In 1930, India was governed by a foreign power. Today, 23.6 crore people have voted Prime Minister Modi and his party. So whom is the Congress fighting against? The mandate of the people? Anyway, watch and decide for yourself.
तो अगर मीडिया चर्चा नहीं करेगा, अखबारें चर्चा में, प्रिंट मीडिया तो चर्चा होगी कहाँ? पार्लियामेंट में चर्चा नहीं होगी तो कौन सा ऐसा एवेन्यू है, कौन सा ऐसा प्लेटफॉर्म है जहाँ चर्चा होगी?
या हो गई वहां जब लोग सड़कों पे आ जाएंगे, सिविल डिसोबीडियंस होगी, जब लोग अपने हक पहचानेंगे कि संविधान के नीचे वी द पीपल, हम हकदार बनके हम बोलेंगे। ये पहले देश ने देखा है और भविष्य में होगा ये। Civil disobedience is not something Renuka Chowdhury has invented, for God's sake. This is what Mahatma Gandhi has brought about. It was a force that we used as a democratic process. It was to challenge the authorities who suppressed us.
Watch how the Congress has tried to defend Renuka Chowdhury, calling it a time for a revolution, while the BJP has called this reflects the Congress tukde mindset to divide the nation.
मैं उनसे सहमत हूँ। मैं खुद इस विचार का हूँ कि जिस तरह जो लोकतांत्रिक जो संस्थान है, चाहे वो इलेक्शन कमीशन हो, चाहे वो ईडी हो, चाहे वो सीबीआई हो, चाहे वो मीडिया हो, चाहे वो कुछ हद तक जुडिशरी हो, जिस तरह वो बिहेव कर रहे हैं और जिस तरह उनका जो आजादाना चरित्र है उसका हनन हो रहा है, तो ये लोगों का अधिकार है कि वो अपना विरोध शांतिपूर्वक ढंग से सहयोग की तर्ज पे या शांतिपूर्वक तरीकों से उस आंदोलन को आगे बढ़ाएं।
सारे लोग ऐसे हैं जो देश को तोड़ना चाहते हैं। इसमें पत्रकार भी हैं, एनजीओ भी हैं, सिविल सोसाइटी है, पॉलिटिशियंस है। उन सबों के चेहरे कैसे हैं, कैसे बड़े हवेलियों में रहते हैं, कहां से पैसे आते हैं, और जब ये सामने आ जाएगा तो आपको बात करने में और मुझे बात करने में सहूलियत होगी।
पर रेणुका चौधरी जिस तरीके से प्रेडिक्ट कर रही हैं फ्यूचर इंडिया का, कह रही है सिविल डिसोबीडियंस होकर रहेगा, क्या आपको लगता है कि कांग्रेस का रोल भी है?
उनके नेता ही जब ऐसा करते हैं तो वो क्या है, वो तो छोटी चीज है।
But perhaps we shouldn't be surprised after all. Renuka Chowdhury is only following the shining star of the party and the Parivar, Rahul Gandhi. Remember the gems that he has imparted to the people of India? He's projected himself as the savior of the Samvidhan. But what has he said in the past? He said he would fight the Indian state. In the past, Congress has doubted the surgical strikes, sought foreign intervention in Kashmir, and even hobnobbed with anti-India elements like Ilhan Omar. All this while accusing the BJP is pouring kerosene in India. So let's remind you how repeatedly Rahul Gandhi and his lieutenants have pitted India versus India.
The BJP and the RSS have captured every single institution of our country. We are now fighting the BJP, the RSS, and the Indian state itself.
India, Bharat, is a union of states. That is the line that is written in our constitution. India is not described as a nation, it is described as a union of states.
अब क्या है 84 का? बात तो करिए आपने क्या किया 5 साल में, उसकी बात करिए। 84 में हुआ तो हुआ।
राम ने रावण को नहीं मारा था, रावण के अहंकार ने रावण को मारा था। आप पूरे देश में केरोसिन फेंक रहे हो, पूरे देश में आप केरोसिन फेंक रहे हो। आपने मणिपुर में केरोसिन फेंकी, आपने चिंगारी लगा दी।
We could hold country together as diverse as India, where people on east look like Chinese, people on west look like Arab, people on north look like, maybe white, and people in south look like Africa.
Interestingly, Renuka Chowdhury was asked the question by Kapil Sibal, what can one do when there is no discussion in Parliament? Why was this question asked? Isn't it true that the Congress and its alliance partners have been disrupting Parliament with chants and walkouts, session after session? Isn't it true that the Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge has declared that they have no trust in the Rajya Sabha chair? Didn't Rahul Gandhi and his alliance partners stage walkouts of the Sansad only to stand outside and enact plays mocking the democratically elected Prime Minister of India? Isn't it true that the Congress has staged theatrics in Parliament with roses, Ek Hai Safe Hai t-shirts and masks? Isn't it true that in 2018 Rahul Gandhi walked across the aisle of Lok Sabha and hugged Prime Minister Modi and then winked at his fellow party members? Aren't Rahul Gandhi and Renuka Chowdhury as members of Parliament part of the same state that she wants civil disobedience movement against? Do they want to plunge India into a civil war like in Bangladesh? Because that's also a statement made by several Congress leaders. So ladies and gentlemen, the Motorola legitimate question that we're asking on the Newshour tonight, just who's pouring kerosene in India? That's the question and that's the debate coming up on the other side.
You're watching the News Hour at 9, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Joining the debate tonight, Pradeep Bhandari, national spokesperson of the BJP, joining me in our studios here. Also joining me is Vivek Silas, national spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party. With me in the studios, Tanveer Ahmed, political analyst, joins me from Bengaluru. Harshvardhan Tripathi, senior journalist. Dr. Anand Ranganathan, author, scientist, political commentator. But my first question goes to Congress leader, Dr. Sanjay Jha. And Dr. Sanjay Jha, I want to ask you, civil disobedience of Mahatma Gandhi has a parallel with the Renuka picturization of a civil disobedience today. She says in a democracy, civil disobedience is something that happens all the time. Well, Mahatma Gandhi's civil disobedience was democratic. Has she forgotten? Has the Congress forgotten that we were under British rule? I just want to ask you, what are the parallels? Are we actually saying that anarchy should be the order of the day, civil disobedience, people of India standing against the state should be the order of the state? And what is the position of Mr. Rahul Gandhi? Is he a leader of opposition using the cabinet rank, not part of the Indian state? Sanjay Jha.
Navika, good evening to you and to my fellow panelists. A couple of points to put this discussion in context. I've heard a lot of Mr. Kapil Sibal's interviews with different political personalities. I'm a little astonished as to how the interview of my friend, and I need to say so, she's a very dear friend of mine, Renuka Chowdhury, has suddenly become a big national story. Now, here is the truth. The truth is that Renuka Chowdhury, and she has been, by the way, a very belligerent and a Congress spokesperson who battled from the forefront when she was at that point one of the key spokespersons of the party when even I was there. And I can tell you that she's using this as an allegory. This is not to suggest, as even Mr. Kapil Sibal added, that this is exactly akin to what happened during the time of Mahatma Gandhi's great civil disobedience movement, that I don't expect the BJP and the RSS to understand, because they were not part of it, like they were not part of the Quit India movement, that they had nothing to do with India's freedom struggle. But since you have given me the opening statement, let me emphasize on the one point. She is talking about, as Mahatma Gandhi inspired in India, a movement of freedom that was based on peace and satyagraha, that was based on protest without any kind of indulgence in hate speeches or violence. I mean, that was absolutely a no-go or a no-show when Mahatma Gandhi inspired all of us Indians to fight against the British. So the first and foremost, when I read some comments that the BJP was calling it anti-national, I laughed at it, because the truth is that if anybody has been inspired by the British policy of divide and rule, it is the Bharatiya Janata Party. I mean, look at the way some of the things have happened in our country. The brutal demolition of basic democratic principles, the way fundamental rights are constantly violated in our country, and the way you find the division between religious communities, that the BJP does in a blatant and a brazen manner to actually indulge in his game of electoral gains. So I don't think Renuka Chowdhury has meant it at all as to suggest that, you know, there should be a rebellion, etc., which the BJP in its usual political stunt will obviously try and fabricate. But since yours is a very popular channel, and Navika, you're also a very dear friend, I need to put this in perspective for your viewers. She's speaking as an Indian citizen, raising valid concerns, and I haven't seen the full interview, unfortunately, I need to be honest, but she talked to a question was, from Mr. Sibal, what will the opposition do if the Constitution
Sanjay
is
Jha,
proper?
number one, announcing on national television that you're my friend might get you into further trouble with the Congress party.
Oh, that's all right.
That's one part. Secondly, I'd like to tell you that Renuka Chowdhury is not somebody, who has difficulty with the Indian language, with the English language. She's pretty articulate herself, being a former spokesperson of the Congress party. She's been a minister in the UPA government, and yes, I know how belligerent she is. I still remember stories that I've done in her time as tourism minister when she knocked off black label bottles from duty-free shops on all Delhi airports, but that on all Indian airports. But that apart, your views on the understanding of Renuka Chowdhury, who says civil disobedience by Mahatma Gandhi is a democratic process. भाई डेमोक्रेसी थी क्या 1930 में? Civil disobedience is against a democratic process, and when she's talking about civil disobedience today, it's against the Indian state. And is that democratic? Because even Rahul Gandhi says that he will fight against the state. Is that democracy, or is that, a clarion call to anarchy in the country?
Well, Navika ji, I believe that Mr. Sanjay Jha should take the advice of Mahatma Gandhi and shut down the Congress party and write a letter to Rahul Gandhi on the advice which Mahatma Gandhi had given then, that Congress should be shut down after independence. But the fact is that Renuka Chowdhury is speaking what Rahul Gandhi has spoken since eternity, because Rahul Gandhi wants to fight the Indian state, and each of his actions on the instruction of George Soros and his foundation, whether it is Open Source Foundation or others, has been to ensure that urban Naxals create anarchy in the country, and I will prove it by repeated incidents. See, it is said, and it's a famous James Bond dialogue, that if anything is repeated for the third time, it is evil action. And Mr. Rahul Gandhi repeatedly has gone against the Indian state. No sane man who believes in the unity and integrity of India will question the surgical strike. No sane man who believes in the unity and integrity of India will go ahead and meet Ilan Umar. No sane man who believes in the unity and integrity of India will get applause from Hafiz Saeed. No sane man who believes in the unity and integrity of India will go ahead and have a manual on the eve of the Indian election results in Lok Sabha saying that हर काउंटिंग सेंटर के ऊपर हमला हो सकता है और बूथ लूटे जा सकते हैं, इसलिए कांग्रेस जो है वो एक अलग से मॉनिटरिंग सेंटर सेटअप कर रही है. No sane man who believes in a free and fair election will have a super eagle in order to monitor the election commission. No sane man will say that he wants to fight the Indian state. But Mr. Rahul Gandhi has displayed that when he had gone in JNU and supported the Tukre Tukre Nare, and it is not an isolated incident. And Rashid Alvi in the past had asked and hoped that a civil war should happen. So all these individuals, whether it is Sam Pitroda, Rashid Alvi, Renuka Chowdhury, all who are close to Rahul Gandhi know that they can get promotion in the Congress party when they speak the language of Rahul Gandhi, which is fighting the Indian state. This is why I've been saying that the Congress party is no longer a political opponent. It is in the remote control of likes of George Soros, who want Bangladesh-like situation in India, and they are very rattled, Navika ji, particularly after USAID funding has stopped. Maybe many of these politicians might be in their funding list, which has to be investigated.
Well, I don't have a problem if the opposition calls out the government, asks questions, demands debates, asks for answers to be provided. That's fine. That's what an opposition is supposed to do. But Anand Ranganathan, civil disobedience, do they understand the meaning of the term? Or is it being loosely used because Renuka Chowdhury doesn't quite mean it that way, or doesn't really, want to make it sound literal? She's only conversationally speaking. Is that a defense?
Good evening, Navika, and good evening to my fellow panelists. Look, those who display cringeworthy obedience to the dynasty are today talking of civil disobedience. I mean, my heart goes out to them. Navika, there's an echo. If you could kindly get it corrected, please. A couple of points I'd like to make. Number one, by all means, you're right that when the Nara of civil disobedience was given by Mohandas Gandhi, we were not a democracy, and so it was perhaps justified. Although, when Sanjay says so-and-so did not take part in Quit India movement, let me tell him on record, it was Dr. Ambedkar who said, Quit India movement displays an insanity, and Gandhi is a prophet of dark age. You have to be completely demented to take part in Quit India movement. Rajaji also did not take part in Quit India movement, but that's another matter. And as far as RSS taking part in freedom struggle, I guess he wouldn't have heard about Hemu Khilani or Dada Saheb Chamar, but that's again another matter. I want to stick to what Renuka said. By all means, in a democracy, when Indians have started making their laws, yes, a person in a free country is allowed to be civilly disobedient, yes, but he has to pay the price. For example, you cannot stop anarchists pouring onto the street, but the state has to be strong enough to put the force of law and to stop them if they are creating havoc like they did during the Shaheen Bagh protest, during the CA protest, during the farm laws protest. If the state is weak, then by all means, those who are displaying civil disobedience will run amok. And that is what we've seen over the last 10 years. And I have my issue with my good friend Pradeep, who talked about Tukre Tukre gang. Well, the state is so weak. Today happens to be the 9th anniversary of the Tukre Tukre slogans that were given in JNU. The state still hasn't arrested those who gave those slogans. So you must ask Pradeep, is the state so weak that they haven't even found out who are the people who gave the Tukre Tukre slogans? They haven't. So the state should not accuse of others of being anarchy. The state is weak. It hasn't caught them. Now let me come to the nub of the question. By all means, Renuka is right. By the way, even though she displays the laughter that was seen last in a TV serial, the logic she displays is frequently seen in the Congress working committees. She talks of civil disobedience. She talks of parliament being disrupted. Who is disrupting the parliament? It is the Congress party. And by all means, if you want to hit the streets to talk of issues, then yes, hit the streets to demand from Rahul Gandhi. Why is it when he says Adani is corrupt, that his state governments have invested to the tune of 85,000 crores in the same Adani? Why is it that his alliance partners are giving him upwards of 15,000 crores to make ports? Why is it? when he says that I am going to root out corruption, that it was Congress that allied to pass an amendment of an FCRA Act so that it could escape conviction from the Delhi High Court. People should hit the streets because nobody dares in this Gandhi media, and they don't, the spokesperson don't come to your channel, Navika, because you're boycotted. But somebody needs to ask Rahul Gandhi, even though it could be an anarchist in the street, why is it when the 3 farm laws were in the election manifestos of the Congress party of 2019, why did he call them black laws and take a U-turn? Why is it that every time, Sanjay, I did not interrupt. I listened to you, whatever you said.
Yeah,
yes.
Neither is he. Go on.
So the bottom line is that the people need to hit the streets to ask the questions which ironically the Congress and Rahul Gandhi and all his lapdogs and acolytes are scared and petrified to answer. That's the bottom line.
Well, Sanjay first and then I'm coming to you, Pradeep. Sanjay, would you want to respond?
Yeah, Navika, just 2 points. I have a laundry list of them, but I'm not going to take the time of my other fellow panelists. When you have Mohan Bhagwat, the head of the RSS, which is the ideological guru of the BJP, telling publicly that India became independent on August 15, 1947, I would like to ask the BJP, aren't you ashamed that you are part of a government and you did not say a word because you actually subscribe to the same philosophy and ideology? That insults, Navika, everyone who fought for India's freedom struggle. And just because Mr. Modi and the BJP are winning elections, do they have a right to humiliate everybody who was part of India's freedom struggle, who built this country, the founders of this country? And point number 2, and I have so many of them, but I'm not going to say it all. You have a minister in the city where I live, in Maharashtra, who called Kerala, which we all know is called the world over as God's own country because of his social and religious harmony, his beautiful entire environment, as a mini Pakistan. He was affronted because Indians there together live in peace. That is the ideological mindset of the BJP.
Then what would you call the ideology of Sam Pitroda, the guru of Rahul Gandhi, when he says North Indians are, what did he say, Pradeep? East of India there are Chinese, south of India there are Africans, west of India. I mean, what is that ideology? Not one word on that. Not one word on the ideology that the north is Gau Mutra states and North India and South India should be separate countries. What about that ideology, Pradeep? Doesn't the Congress owe an answer for that one?
Navika ji, the Congress owes an answer, but the Congress party is no longer a political operant. It wants to fight the Indian state. I want to answer to the specifics of my friend Sanjay and also Anand Ranganathan, my dear friend and elder brother. On Sanjay Jha's statement, I think Sanjay has gone against Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi, because in Hind Swaraj chapter 4, Mahatma Gandhi says, and I quote Mr. Mahatma Gandhi, that mere transfer of power has taken from the British hands to the Indian hands. This is not true Swaraj. True Swaraj will be when we realize our Sanatan and Hindustani values. So if you are saying that what Adharniya Mohan Bhagwat ji said is wrong, then you are going against what Mahatma Gandhi said in Hind Swaraj. So please read more. On my friend's Anand's specific question, I think Sharjeel Imam is in jail, Umar Khalid is in jail, and on the other part of the other accused, as of January 24, 2020, the statement of the Honorable Home Minister was that Mr. Kejriwal did not send these files on certain accused. Now we are into power, Anand, and I assure you that the others will also be booked. But admit and realize that it's the Bharatiya Janata Party government. That's why Sharjeel Imam, or whether it is Umar Khalid is in jail and Rahul Gandhi and his all lobby is not able to ask questions on surgical strike. You have a strong government. Appreciate that, please.
Well, let me get in Tanveer Ahmed. Anand, I'll come back to you. Let's not derail the issue. The issue here is civil disobedience. And Renuka Chowdhury says civil disobedience is a democratic right. It was done by Gandhi and so she's doing it. I want to ask you, democracy before 1947? And, Renuka Chowdhury wants to rewrite history now by calling democracy, the British rule that existed before 1947. The question of Mohan Bhagwat comes up every time. Please go back and read. And I'll just put out the quote of his tweet. He said India got independent in 1947, but the cultural renaissance actually happened in 2024, January 22nd. Now, there is a difference between the two, but if you want to paper over it, Well, be my guest, do that. That's what opposition would want to do. But Tanveer Ahmed, what about democracy before 1947? Are we so close to the Britishers that we are now going to say democracy existed then?
Navika, we need to really understand that two people who are discussing are intellectually very, very high people. We should have really heard the entire discussion which happened between Kapil Sibal and Renuka Chowdhury. They were really speaking about a couple of institutions which are really taken for granted by the current government, the way they are using it. See, no freedom is going to come without struggle. No struggle is going to come without sacrifice, and no sacrifice is going to come with obedience. It has to be disobedience. So if at all that disobedience is needed to really restore that part of democracy, what Ambedkar has given to us, what Gandhi has dreamt of having it, so be it. So we don't need to really be obedient every time.
Election Commission, Election Commission, who you hailed 3 days ago. 3 days ago you hailed the Election Commission because Kejriwal lost. And today the same institution needs to be changed.
Navika, let me put things in perspective. Navika, let me put things in perspective.
It is your perspective
if at all,
that I'm questioning.
My constitution rights are really been hampered.
Which
if
one?
it is my constitution rights which have been hampered by the current government or any government, we have to be disobedient. We don't need to be really obedient when CBI is
Tell me which right. Tell me which right is. Which right of yours has been taken away, Tanveer Ahmed? Just please point out.
The right to stay in one party.
I will tell you, 97% of the people who are being persecuted by CBI are from opposition. Why there are no chores in BJP? Why are they targeting one particular community? Why are they really making statements which are not supposed to make a statement by a government?
CBI
and sitting
against
people.
one community.
Son, he is really...
I don't know.
The constitution in my hand.
Sanjay Roy is arrested in the RG car, rape case. Is he from your community? The CBI has arrested him. Tanveer Ahmed, from your community?
I belong to Indian community. I am really talking about, let's really talk about Sardars. The Sardars who were there fighting farm laws, they were called Khalistanis. The Keralites were called Pakistanis, and West Bengal people, just because it is ruled by a different government, they were called Naxalites.
You can change your goalposts every 30 seconds, and that's a right that you have. But Anand Ranganathan, can you make any sense out of what Tanveer Ahmed, my friend, is saying today? Normally extremely articulate and logical, but today,
He cannot defend Renuka Chowdhury. That's why he's not sounding logical. Deep inside his heart, he knows that Renuka Chowdhury has spoken what Rahul Gandhi has said, and he's having the compulsion to defend Rahul Gandhi.
Slightly sheepishly,
Anybody who will defend Rahul Gandhi has to smile, Navika ji. Anybody who defends Rahul Gandhi has to smile.
Pradeep, you're in a studio, so please just give me 30 seconds. It's my turn. Look, Tanveer Bhai is as much a brother as Pradeep is. And, this has to be respected that he is belonging to a party... More of a brother.
I am more.
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
yes.
because you come from the city of Mysore Park, and we all know how much Anand Ranganathan. So obviously, love between you two will be more.
And yes. My adulation and adoration for Tanveer Bhai knows no bounds, because look, he is belonging to a party that is an ally of BJP, JDS, and still he is being critical of BJP. So I admire Tanveer.
No, he left JDS. Or haven't you updated your?
Yes, Anand.
You haven't updated your phone list.
Oh, my apologies. I didn't know that Tanveer Bhai has quit his party, but his rights have been taken away. Well, no, but look, let's be very honest about it, Navika. You asked a very pointed question. Name one constitutional right of Tanveer Bhai that has been taken away. He could not name one. I can name you 7 constitutional rights of Hindus that have been taken away. And we are not talking about it. Can Hindus approach the courts to constitutionally and legally have a right to reclaim their temples? No. Can Hindus talk about reclaiming their temples from the government control? No. Can Hindus have the same laws that have 25% reservations for economically weaker sections for their run schools as Muslims and Christians? No. Why are 7 lakh Hindus still refugees in their own land? These are the constitutional rights that have been taken away from Hindus. Name one constitutional right that has been taken away from my brother Tanveer. Not one.
आप थ्रेटन तो कर रहे हैं ना, वक्फ बिल लाकर आप थ्रेटन कर रहे हैं, इसीलिए ही सेइंग हिज कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल राइट्स आर बीइंग टेकन अवे. इट इज अ प्रीएम्प्टिव स्ट्राइक इफ नॉट अ सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक. बट लेट मी गेट इन हर्षवर्धन त्रिपाठी, आर यू सरप्राइज के रेणुका गांधी ने इस तरह का स्टेटमेंट दिया? रेणुका चौधरी, आई एम सॉरी, नॉट रेणुका गांधी, रेणुका चौधरी, वो राहुल गांधी रेणुका चौधरी मिक्स हो गए. आई एम एक्सट्रीमली सॉरी. रेणुका चौधरी हैज मेड सच अ स्टेटमेंट, सिविल डिसोबीडियंस. मैं पूछना चाहती हूं क्या वो राहुल गांधी के नक्शे कदम पर चल रही हैं? क्योंकि राहुल गांधी तो अक्सर कहते हैं केरोसिन छिड़क दिया है आपने पूरे देश पर, देश जला दिया है आपने, और जलाने का काम कौन कर रहा है, भड़काने का काम कौन कर रहा है, वो आपके सामने है. वो कहते हैं कि इंडिया इज ओनली अ यूनियन ऑफ स्टेट्स, तो स्टेट्स का जो मन होगा वो करेंगे. प्राइम मिनिस्टर या सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को शायद जो डिस्पेंसेशन है उन्हें पसंद नहीं. सारे इंस्टीट्यूशंस जैसे कि पहले बहुत फ्री थे, अब सडनली वो बिल्कुल खराब हो गए हैं. ये राहुल गांधी की जो कथा है और उनके जो शागिर्द है, क्या वो ऐसा बोल रहे हैं तो कुछ सरप्राइजिंग है?
नविका जी, सबसे पहले तो ये कि आप अगर रेणुका गांधी कह दे रही हैं तो कोई बहुत गलत नहीं है. राहुल गांधी का भी उनका अपना सरनेम नहीं है, तो उन्होंने भी उधारी के गांधी हैं, तो कोई भी गांधी नाम लगा सकता है. तो ये कोई बहुत आपने गलत तय किया है, इसमें कोई गड़बड़ नहीं है. और वैसे भी गांधी नाम लग जाने से ही कांग्रेस पार्टी या कांग्रेस के गांधी परिवार की कोई हैसियत है, इसके अलावा तो कोई और ताकत रह नहीं.
इंपॉर्टेंस मत दीजिएगा, ऐसे बात बोल के आप अपने आप को इंपॉर्टेंस मत दीजिएगा.
थोड़ा सा बात कर लेने दीजिए, आपकी बात के बीच में नहीं.
जो क्वेश्चन किया गया उसका जवाब आपके पास है नहीं, गोल गोल जलेबी मत घुमाइएगा.
Tanveer Ahmed, I can moderate a panel. I will. हर्षवर्धन जी जवाब दीजिए. तनवीर अहमद, I'll give you time to counter. वो मैं महात्मा गांधी रेणुका चौधरी में थोड़ा मिक्सअप हो गई थी, but I've apologized and corrected myself. हर्षवर्धन जी.
नविका जी, 2014 के बाद से राहुल गांधी जो कर रहे हैं उसकी बात बार बार करनी चाहिए, और मैं थोड़ा सा इससे डिसएग्री करता हूं. जो आनंद कह रहे हैं कि वीक गवर्नमेंट होगी तो इस तरह का सिविल डिसोबीडियंस होगा और पब्लिक आ जाएगी तो एनार्की हो जाएगी. हम डेमोक्रेटिक नेशन हैं और हम इस तरह की एनार्की को अच्छे से हैंडल करना जानते हैं. शायद इसीलिए हमारे देश में श्रीलंका नहीं हुआ, शायद इसीलिए हमारे देश में बांग्लादेश नहीं हुआ. और जब बांग्लादेश हुआ था तो महबूबा मुफ्ती की बेटी हैं इल्तिजा मुफ्ती, जो अपने परिवार की सीट जो 22 साल से कभी पीडीपी नहीं हारी थी वो हार गई थी. तो उन्होंने एक्स पर लिखा कि डज लोक कल्याण मार्ग हैव अ स्विमिंग पूल एज वेल. तो अब एनार्की कहां तक जा सकती है उसका एक उदाहरण. फिर राहुल गांधी की एक प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस याद दिलाता हूं. नरेंद्र मोदी लोकसभा चुनाव जीत गए थे, उसके बाद वो बनारस जाते हैं, कहीं से कोई एक नाराजगी में किसी ने एक जूता चप्पल कुछ उछाल दिया था. राहुल गांधी की प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस होती है, राहुल गांधी कहते हैं हमने वो 56 इंच का सीना फाड़ दिया, वो एकदम से खत्म कर दिया, वो साइकोलॉजिकली हमने उनको एकदम मेंटली डिस्टर्ब कर दिया, सब खत्म कर दिया. 2024 पार्लियामेंट्री इलेक्शंस के बाद 240 पे भारतीय जनता पार्टी गई, 99 पे कांग्रेस पार्टी आई. उनको देश में सब कुछ बहुत अच्छा लगने लगा था. अभी उसके बाद हरियाणा हो गया, अभी उसके बाद महाराष्ट्र हो गया और अभी दिल्ली हो गया. जब दिल्ली के चुनाव यानी वोटिंग और काउंटिंग के बीच में राहुल गांधी क्या कर रहे थे? राहुल गांधी महाराष्ट्र के इलेक्शंस के कुछ डेटा सेट वो रिलीज कर रहे थे. किसके साथ? सुप्रिया सुले के साथ. आप इसी से समझिए कि ये पार्टी पब्लिक कनेक्ट से कितनी दूर है. और उस पार्टी की नेता है रेणुका चौधरी. लंबा समय हो गया सत्ता से बाहर रहे, कहते हैं कि कांग्रेसी सत्ता के बाहर जल बिन मछली की तरह तड़पने लगता है. तो आप सारे कांग्रेसी नेताओं का बयान देखेंगे, जैसे आप किसी मछली को जल से निकाल दीजिए तो वही स्थिति कांग्रेस पार्टी की होती. इसलिए उनको कुछ सूझता नहीं. और जो अभी मैं बार बार सुनता हूं हर डिबेट में, हालांकि आनंद जी ने बहुत अच्छे से बता दिया, फिर भी मैं बताता हूं. राष्ट्रीय स्वयंसेवक संघ के प्रथम सरसंघ चालक, आदि सरसंघ चालक, फाउंडर डॉक्टर केशवराव बलिराम हेडगेवार 1930 जंगल सत्याग्रह, उसमें शामिल होने गए। अब ये जंगल सत्याग्रह किसके खिलाफ था वो पता कर ली। और एक बात और कांग्रेस के लोगों को बताना चाहिए कि ब्रिटिश कब इलेक्शन कराकर वो सत्ता में आए थे जिसके खिलाफ गांधी जी ने ये जन सत्याग्रह किया था। क्योंकि नरेंद्र मोदी तो 2002 से लगातार, और ये भारतीय राजनीति में गांधी परिवार भी इतने चुनाव नहीं जीता है, लगातार गांधी परिवार भी नहीं जीता, और दुनिया के किसी हिस्से में कोई नेता इतने चुनाव जीत कर नहीं आया। लेकिन सोरोस, लेकिन चाइना मॉडल, लेकिन डेमोक्रेसी खतरे में है। यूरोप और अमेरिका तो हमारे तरफ बेखबर है। क्या करना चाहते हैं? लेकिन फिर मैं कह रहा हूं, हमारे देश का लोकतंत्र बहुत स्ट्रांग है। हम डायलॉग में, डिबेट में यकीन रखते हैं, इसीलिए हमारी डेमोक्रेसी यहाँ है। और इसीलिए सत्ता के बिना कांग्रेसियों का यह हाल हो गया है कि वो अपने ही देश की चुनी हुई सरकार के खिलाफ अराजकता फैलाना चाहते हैं।
ये गांधी
क्या दिखा रहे हैं आप आनंद जी?
ये गांधी जी का अप्रूव किया हुआ फ्लैग था। इसमें ऊपर देख रही है टॉप लेफ्ट हैंड कॉर्नर पे क्या है? ये जरा संजय झा से पूछिए, ये कैसी आजादी है भाई?
Navika, let me answer. I can't see what he's showing on screen, but since he mentioned the flag, maybe he can answer the question as to why did the RSS not display the national tricolors, the Indian flag, for 50 years? Answer that question. Answer that question.
No, but why don't you answer the question that has been asked? Because this question comes up every other debate.
Yeah,
the flag that has been shown, but Vivek Silas, I know, this will be derailed to the discussion on flags, RSS. Question is civil disobedience. Are we a democratic country? Yes, we are. Have we just held elections? Yes, we've done the Lok Sabha elections. We've done 3 elections after that. And everywhere have governments that have won taken charge? Yes, they have. Now I want to ask you, why is this whole issue of civil disobedience being raised? I want to ask you, do you want people on the streets? Is that what? And when you say every day when you carry a constitution copy in your pockets, is it civil disobedience means going against the state, going against the constitution? So on the one hand you say you are saving the constitution, on the other you want to go against the constitution. आप चाहते क्या हैं भाई? बता तो दीजिए.
You know, Navika ji, first of all I would like to say that I saw the entire interview. It was a long interview. It was not only Renuka Chowdhury ji who was present there. Mr. Sanjay Raut and Dr. Manoj Jha was also there in the interview along with Kapil Sibal ji. And they raised many other questions. They raised the questions about education in the country, the policy of education. They talked about the farmers, what is happening, what policy, what challenges that India has in upfront. But because these discussions are not being done, that is a question. They emphasized on the foreign policy as to why we are having bad relations with Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, because that concerns the foreign policy, because Pakistan was always the enemy country. They also talked about the per capita income, why it is falling. They compared the per capita income of the BRICS country. Russia is $14,000 per annum, India is just 2,500. Even countries like Brazil are 11,000 and 13,000. Even South Africa is $7,500. That was a concern, and they said for how long 32 crore people are going to be dependent on ration. Okay. So these are also the valid questions.
So now we have gone away from constitution, civil disobedience, and now we are on the line of ration.
That was also
any issue that is picked up in a debate, well, most people in the opposition want to give explanation that are certainly being seen as out of syllabus. Ab kya kare? That is why the question is being asked. Civil disobedience? Like, really? Is that what you want, Renuka Chowdhury? And is this exactly what Mahatma Gandhi was offering? Really? And is this democratic? Was it democratic, when Mahatma Gandhi raised it against the British? Are we really people who know our history? Do we really remember that the British ruled us then? There was no democracy? Well, if the basics are forgotten, what can we say about the present? Well, set an example for people of India. Please, regressive examples can only take the country backwards. We leave it at that. Thank you very much to all my panelists for joining me on debate number 1.